Live from Run Your Mouth World Headquarters.
First up, the Emma Emhoff PSYOP to have pretty brunettes look like men. Next up, ethicist address if Walz's non-retarded but retarded-looking son is okay to make fun of. Next up, Kamala Harris looks to change the debate rules to favor a word dribble-off she thinks she can win. The new format will allow candidates to rephrase the words presented by the moderator and give points for the longer you can speak without actually saying anything. In other presidential news, Kamala Harris recounts her mother teaching her not to half-ass anything, and that if you're sleeping with someone for a job, you will need your full ass. Then saying, I still do squats to this day, right? Right? Ha 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 ha. Lastly, Dr. Fauci getting West Nile virus brings back the urgent need to release the Bill Gates mosquitoes and respray all of the world's kids with some chemical they're getting patented.
It's your daily dose of misinformation, pulled from a lightly hemorrhoided asshole. It's today's Run Your Mouth!
Welcome back, everybody.
People try and tell you what you gotta do. Don't listen to them unless you think it's true. Follow your heart and your dreams. Follow your heart and your dreams.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to a Run Your Mouth podcast, and this is one of those days where the entire universe just feels like it's running in slow motion. I might have lost some battles this morning, but we're not going to lose the war trying to get Run Your Mouth out. And you know what? It's almost nice, the frustrating studio problems I had today, because it leads in perfectly to the first topic that I had planned. So you know what? No general complaints, nothing to talk about in my life. I've been home. I'm excited to get out to Dallas. But let's get right into the show with my first news topic, because this gives me hope for the future. Today, I don't know why, StreamYard, the service I use, it's down. You can't get representatives on the phone. I got a whole studio here. I've got expensive internet. I've got a thing. It always works. Do they have someone that you can talk to? Of course not. Do they have a live chat bot? They don't have that either, but you can email them, and then you can get a long list of things you could have just found on the website, which are all the problems that you could be having, except if you're using the same. All right, so I give you the whole list. You read through the whole list. You go, none of that applies. Do you hear back from them again? No, of course not. So you try all the different browsers, you try turning off your computer, you try turning back on the computer, you do that 3 times, you try it on your phone, it doesn't work on your phone, then I go home to try it on one of the home laptops, then you bring the home laptop here, realize you forgot this cord, you forgot that cord, but listen, I've got hope for humanity, I've got hope for the future, and before we get into the politics of what's going on in the world, everything that's wrong, all the chaos that exists, we have hope. And that's robots to fight their robots. And this is what I'm looking for. I was reading this Wall Street Journal article about all the new AI features that might come in and they might help your life. And here's the AI bot that I want. Call it the Karen Jew ISIS lawyer. And it does one thing. The AI robot has one single feature, which is it will harass a company until someone calls you up directly. When you're trying to deal with customer service, the AI chatbot, it will go through all the normal avenues, and it will start off very peaceful, and it will escalate. It will start off with just waiting on hold for you, and then when the representative finally gets on, or, sometimes they pretend like there's a person on that line, and they've gotten better with their AI features where it sounds like a human person, and it sounds like someone who's not from India. It actually sounds like it's your neighbor, and the guy might be able to help out. And then it takes a couple sentences before you start realizing, oh, I'm just talking to an AI chatbot. So I want an AI chatbot to talk to that AI chatbot. I want a guy who will get on the phone, just press 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Just keep pressing it, calling back, auto dial. Get a whole room of auto dial machines, like the sales bots that are calling us all the time, the companies that are texting us. I'm talking about an AI army of Karen ISIS Jew lawyers that will get after it until you so harass the company that they just call you up directly and go, hi, this is Optimum. I would like to help you. Hi, this is Spirit Airlines. I'm standing here with your bag outside your house. I'd like to return it to you. I'm talking about the worst injustices from every single company where they beg from our knees that we stop her. And I'm not even talking about hacking their infrastructure. I'm talking about that we try and call their phone lines, and if their phone lines aren't available, then we overload their chat box features. And if their chat box features aren't available, then we start queuing up the auto templates of Jew lawyer talk that goes directly to their inbox and then gets progressively more escalating claims of the CEO touching your kids, claim of business losses and how you're going to take them to court. Just overload them with paperwork. At some point, if some auto chatbot sends enough certified letters to the secretary of the CEO talking about how they're required to show up to court tomorrow, you'll get a phone call. So anyways, that's my hope for humanity, is that we end up with robots to combat their robots, because the corporations, they'll all take our money, they'll offer us services, and then the second there's a problem, guess what? You're not the gold, platinum, super medallion person. Since you're not already wealthy enough to have a secretary who could have spent the time on this phone call, and you're not one of our gold super premium members, we're going to have to not help you out here. And I've had it. Every single corporation, they're happy. They're available to take your money, and they'll pretend like they have a service. But then the second there's a problem, doesn't matter how long you've been a customer, doesn't matter how loyal you've been to their product, they're nowhere to be found. They're not answering their phone lines. You know when they finally answer their phone lines? It's when you cancel. All of a sudden they're calling you up and they're being nice. That's what happened with Optimum. I finally canceled. All of a sudden, I'm ignoring phone calls. And that's what I need the AI chatbot for, is to harass them, just keep canceling the service and signing back up for the service. Waste all the time. Because I'm not going to sit here filling out the forms, but let the AI chatbot just keep signing me up and canceling from new accounts, phony credit cards, harassing the companies until they finally just call you up and go, hey, what's the problem? Oh, yeah, your service isn't working. Oh, yeah, we can fix that for you. Sure. Thanks for helping me out. This moment is brought to you by YoKratom.com, home of the $60 kilo. And if you'd like to figure out how to not lose your mind and be calm in moments like this, I might recommend purchasing an entire kilo of Kratom, because those savings is what's going to make you feel good. It's not the product. It's knowing that you bought it from a service where for just $60, you know that you can have the best price. And I know that the Kratom people answer their phones. You want to call them? You want to email them? My buddy, Mr. B, he's got an army of people. I challenge you to test the customer service of the YoKratom family team and see how responsive they are. All right, let's take some comments. We've got John Popick wondering, Karen ISIS Jew lawyer robots, how do I invest? You know what? Maybe it'll be the next grift. I talked about higher carbon reducing trees. I've talked about drawing your farts. I've talked about urban windmills. I've thrown some great ideas out on this podcast. And ISIS Jew lawyer robots, maybe that's just the next one. Andrew Jones, eventually they will do a cost-benefit analysis and then pay you off. Or maybe they'll just start answering their fucking phones and actually offering customer service. Can we have an AI based off sassy black woman who works in HR? That wouldn't be, that's pretty good. That'd be helpful too. Runaway Slav, why did Robbie's coworker not suggest prison for Zucker, but instead marveled that the letter was dropped? Dude admitted to election interference and played victim as is forced to do so. Very, I think you want to say, Jewy. Not really getting your complaint. I mean, we're covering what happened in the news, and we're saying that there should be an investigation into why there was pressure onto Mark Zuckerberg. So, okay, you're upset with me because we didn't go far enough to say that there should be an investigation into Mark Zuckerberg and whether or not he should be going to jail. Yeah, I guess if we do a full investigation of the deep state and Mark Zuckerberg's sitting at the top of the deep state pyramid and he's the one that's responsible for everything, sure. But you think he's more the problem than government threatening him? And that if we got rid of Mark Zuckerberg and put a different CEO in there being threatened by government, you're more concerned with the people that acquiesce to the threats of government than the threats coming from government? All right, DM, is Bidenomics great for the average American / the economy is great, or is Kamala Harris going to help rescue the American people from a terrible economy and Bidenomics has failed the average American? Yeah, guys, these questions are too heady for the start of the show. You know, I'm over here trying to address the customer service problems and AI Jewish ISIS Karen lawyers who will actually get customer service people on the phone so we can deal with the more common man issues that plague all of us Americans on a daily basis. And you're going to ask me these extemporaneous questions as if I'm involved in a debate? You throw that at me at the end of the show. That's not a beginning of the show question. Oh, nothing, enough farts to fill a blimp. You know, that's not a bad idea. Everyone shows up and there's a little fart funnel. You see, that's a good comment at the beginning of the show. You should be spending more time paying attention to the show flow of Run Your Mouth and what's an appropriate question at the beginning and an appropriate question at the end. And we're in the first 15 minutes of the show. We're talking dick and farts over here. You're throwing economic debate questions at me. I like this guy coming through with a fart funnel plan where every single person can contribute their farts to a blimp that we can all then get into and escape our reality and get over the ice wall to the North Pole and see what's there. No one's fart. If we can gather all of the humanity's farts into a blimp, we can finally come together and traverse the ice wall and be greeted by the Lord himself. Or maybe that's the way that we take on the lizard people, and then we finally get them out of our government. Are you willing to donate and start saving up your farts for the blimp of the collected farts? Or maybe what we do is we collect all of humanity's farts and then we just send it over the ice wall and we shoot it and we let out all of our collective farts onto the other side of the ice wall. And maybe that's how you defeat the lizards. You see, these are good ideas. You talking to me about economics at the start of the show. All right, what else I got? We got a lot of news going on here. And while we're on the topic of Kamala Harris, big breaking news. She's finally going to sit down with an interview. She cherry-picked the person at CNN that she's willing to sit down with. And she's not showing up alone. She's bringing Tim Walz. She's going to bring Tim Walz so that instead of talking about policy, they can do their mushy gushy love romance thing. Oh, it's just so nice to be with the coach. Oh, as the coach, it's so nice to be with this fake Indian black lady. Oh, as the fake Indian black lady, I just love talking to Walz about cooking. Oh, as the coach who wasn't really a coach, who was the assistant coach for an irrelevant high school team, the skills that I can bring to the table. Oh, have you talked to the coach about all the spectacular things he did with that losing high school team that nobody cared about? That's going to be the interview that we get. The mushy gushy love fest of Kamala Harris talking about how much she loves Mr. Walz. Mr. Walz talking about how much he loves Kamala Harris. We'll see how much policy actually gets talked about at that one. Finally, an inside look at the competence of Kamala Harris and when she sits down Thursday night with Tim Walz and says absolutely nothing. But this might be the funnest election cycle of our entire lives, because much like with Joe Biden, you never knew when he might just collapse on live television. You never knew when he might get up there and just forget to zip his stupid clone mask. You never knew when he was going to say something stupid, just shit his pants in front of the Pope. Every single time they put Joe Biden in front of a camera, it was a liability of, is this the last time we're ever going to see him again? And then we finally got that moment, and it wasn't as spectacular of a fail as I was hoping for, but they put him up on a debate stage. They didn't give him the drugs because they were making him too angry, and he royally fumbled. And now we've got, 10, 12 weeks of Kamala Harris trying to dodge interviews while everyone's going, hey, this lady can't field a question. And then what happens when she starts getting angry? She's at home. She goes, these motherfuckers think I can't field questions? I'm a prosecutor. Yeah, it's because I asked the questions. I'm the one out here asking the questions. Well, let's see. Let's see if she manages to get through this election cycle as she tries and dodge and weave every single opportunity to be in front of a camera because she can't possibly string together coherent sentences. And I'm along for this ride. What are the odds on how many television interviews she does? And progressively, each and every single one of whether or not she can get through it without saying something so stupid that even the Democrats, who were so obsessed with how are we going to look to the rest of the world, the dignity of the United States office. That's why we need a man with dementia to lead this country for 3.5 years, because that's what's going to make us look good to the rest of the world. And here's the biggest idiot that somehow managed to climb the ranks all the way to the tippy top of politics by being an Indian lady who's actually black. It gets confusing, crossing out a lot of boxes for people. But isn't that fun? the party that had to be about returning the dignity of the office and looking more presentable to the rest of the world, has a candidate that they can't put in front of a news camera to answer questions because they know that there's only so many times that they can put her down in front of a camera before she says something so stupid they have to replace a candidate once again. All right, next Kamala Harris story. Trump suggests debate rules are set. Harris team says otherwise. And this is some fun drama. I mean, talk about the Weasley Democrats. First, Donald Trump, he never agreed to debate Kamala Harris. That's not what he agreed to. He agreed to debate Joe Biden. And then he eliminated Joe Biden. And so you would think he would have the upper hand, where it's like now he's got the belt. It's like sometimes when you've got the belt, you get to pick your matches. You get to pick when it happens. You get to pretend like you get an injury, so you get to be the champion for longer. If it's in the UFC, you can go, hey, I want to go fight in another weight class. You can hold your belt in one division and then get your points while you fight in the other division. You know, sometimes you get the belt, you got the upper hand in terms of picking your fights. And so you would think after Donald Trump eliminates a candidate, he would have the upper hand in saying when and where we're going to debate. And so he put forward a pretty fair offer, which is, listen, I'll do the debate, but you should agree to do one on Fox News. And she basically says, no, I won't do that. We have to keep the debate as planned, as scheduled. You already agreed to it, even though he didn't agree to it with her. And he goes, all right, fine, I'll do that. And then they come back and they go, yeah, but we want to change the other rules. It turns out that the rules that we changed the last time to custom fit Joe Biden actually didn't work out in our favor. So now we're going to say that we're not doing the debate again, which we all know what they're doing. They're trying to get out of this thing. They're trying to annoy Donald Trump so much that he has to go, you know what? I'm not going to even do this thing. They're going to try and change the rules again. They're going to try and do everything they can to make sure that Kamala Harris doesn't have to be in front of a camera and actually express an opinion that's not coming off of a teleprompter. And so here's the latest. Now they want the microphones turned off. They were trying to say that Donald Trump wouldn't agree to it. The latest, according to Donald Trump, is he said, let's go anytime, anywhere. I don't care. Let's do it. But that's the latest, is they're trying to keep Kamala Harris as far away from a news conference answering a question off scripted as possible. They're sending her into the one television interviewing that they're doing with Walls so that they can just do their mushy gushy, I just love this guy so much thing for however amount of time. By the way, it's not even live. It's not even live. We finally get to see Kamala Harris in front of TV cameras, and it's with a favorable anchor over at CNN in a situation where I guess if they need or want to edit it, they will be able to do so. Finally, we get our access. All right, next piece of Kamala Harris news is she understands everyone's upset about the current state of the economy. It's not her economy. It's nothing that she's been a part of. I mean, prices have gone up over the last couple of years, but it has nothing to do with what she's done in the administration. Joe Biden has been the greatest president ever, and she's been a part of that, but the whole economy thing and prices going up, she's got nothing to do that. And so she's got a new plan for the economy where she's going to create, let's read this from the Wall Street Journal. Of course, I don't know my usual setup here. We will create what I call an opportunity economy. Instead of the current economy, we're going to have an opportunity economy. You might as well just go full Zoolander and go, I'm going to make our economy really, really good. I want a really, really good economy. You can put any word in there. Why not just call it what you really want to do, which is the handout economy? The, hey, if you don't have stuff, I will buy your vote, and here's a handout economy. If you're in one of the disenfranchised groups that I'm trying to bribe into supporting me with free stuff, I will give you handouts. And what we should really call it is the until it runs out economy, where it will be a lottery system where random people get gifted things such as homes, $25,000 credits, your college tuition being free until it runs out. And then once it runs out, I don't know, we draft you and we send you off to war so that, you know, you're not sitting around complaining that you weren't on the list of people that got stuff. But it's just the lottery economy of until things run out. It's the until things run out economy. But you might be in the group of people that wins the lottery and gets the free shit. So we all like a lottery system. Why not? You know, we'll start shuffling the deck. We'll pull out names. And some people are going to war so that you're no longer a liability on the books and amongst the goods that we're able to steal from the rich and the elites or from the rest of the world by inflating money and printing dollars on endlessly, then you can have some free stuff until it runs out. It's the Kamala Harris until it runs out economy. And then one more thing on Kamala Harris. Actually, you know what? I'll take a couple comments because this actually is a bit of a topic change. And, you know, things are aggressive in the economy. I mean, in the in the comment section. Runaway Slav, angry black women is a disqualification for the position. No, that's what you want on your team to combat the other people. I got what you were saying there with the earlier. It was like the Patrice O'Neill bit of black women get you refunds. Dildo Baggins. I know what it says there, but I'm going to say Baggins. Let Kamala play the lovely angle. It will show the American men that a woman is too soft to go up against the world's political leaders. I don't know that I agree with you on that one, but that's okay. All right, 2 more comments. John Popick. I'm still not convinced they'll ever actually debate. They're going to keep Kamala away from a non-scripted event. I somewhat agree with you, the only thing is I think even Democrats will be outraged. I think that there will be a consensus of people that go, hey, you guys are the ones that keep telling us return to normalcy. You can't not debate. And how bad is my candidate that you're not even willing to debate this buffoon Donald Trump? That's the opinion of the leftists. Are you telling me that this lady can't even get through a debate, but I'm supposed to vote for her? I don't think it's going to fly. I think that there's enough people who, even if they will just support the Democrat no matter what, they're still kind of curious to see how can she fend in a debate. Like for their own curiosity, they kind of need to see it. This is television. We're trying to be entertained. And the one event we get to see these two people spar and play the game of I'm in a presidential election is that they go ahead and debate. It's like the way once a year you get Christmas. If you live in areas with seasons, you get fall. Every 4 years, you get a couple presidential debates. And if you're following the news cycle, this is what you get. If you're into soccer or the Olympics, every couple years you get your event. I think people, they want their entertainment. They're a part of this process. They're in this illusion of, hey, we've got a democracy and I get to pick my candidate. And I think across the board, all of them, as we live within this thing, they want the event. It's the entertainment. It's the part of the thing where they get to go, oh, I watched someone, I formulated an opinion. It's part of the illusion of being a part of this process, as I was intelligent to watch the debate and decide which of the people I like. And I think even amongst the extreme left who will cheat in this game just to win, you know, they'll do things like weaponize the Justice Department in the name of winning. They will do things that they wouldn't agree with, like, yeah, our government shouldn't do that, but Donald Trump's so bad, we need to do it in this case. I think even those people, they want their debate. And so on that basis, I think unless they can pretend that Donald Trump was the one bailing out, I think they want to give people the show. It's like with the, you know, you give the people the entertainment of the gladiators and they don't revolt. You know, you give or the porn and the food is the opiate of the masses, whatever other lines from socialists. You guys are more educated than I am, but I think people want their show. A human maybe. With a black manager who gets told she has to wait 10 minutes before clicking a button, but she isn't able to figure out how long 10 minutes is. So you literally set a stopwatch and sit with her on the phone. Not sure if I totally followed that one. All right, let's move on to this next story, which I thought this was, I have a page. I got actually a spreadsheet at this point. I used to have little sketch ideas and I would just put them up on my wall. And it got to a point where the wall was so filled that there are no women coming back to my apartment. But I was like, if anyone ever comes back here, this looks like I'm a serial killer. And so I created a spreadsheet of sketches that I'd like to film. And, you know, what I found in previous years of my comedy career is that at some point I get to things. You guys can go find it. I think it's up on my website, Detective Active. I wrote that thing like year 2 in comedy. And then my good friend Gus came around. He wanted to film something. I pulled it off the wall. I was like, hey, I got this one. It's kind of fun. And we filmed it. And it was fun and funny. Still exists. You can go find it. So I'll get to these at one point. And you guys all remember the movie Dumb and Dumber, maybe the greatest comedy movie of all time. Dave Smith will argue and say that it's actually Tommy Boy. I will sometimes, even though it's not as laugh out loud of a comedy movie, I have Blues Brothers up on that list. Listen, that's a conversation for another time. But Dumb and Dumber, it's got to be in your top 5. It has to be. And it's an argument that it's in the number 1. And there's a scene early in Dumb and Dumber, if you guys don't remember it, where these people are so dumb, they want to create a worm farm. Do you guys remember that? And then there's the great scene where they go to trash the apartment and they're like, should we trash the place? They're like, I don't think they're going to get the message. Do you guys remember this? That was a joke back in the 90s. The two people would be so stupid that they would want to create a worm farm. And so I was thinking of a sketch that it's 2024 and now it's the two of them and they have the hottest IPO on the market as Bill Gates and other people are trying to sell us on eating bugs and stuff. And so all of a sudden they've been in the worm business for 20 years. It's now this thing is the hottest IPO on the market. And I always had that in my little book. Maybe I'll get to it someday. And then I read this, and I just thought this was so funny. This was from I think it was Michael Snyder on Zero Hedge. And there was the classic SNL sketch about Chris Farley living in a van down by the river. I don't do the best Chris Farley, but you guys remember the sketch. It's also one of the greatest SNL sketches of all time. And he was pointing out that in the current economy, that's like people's dream. Like if you were to reshoot that sketch, the kids would be like, wait a second, you have a van and you get to live by a river? Like at the time, that was the joke of you could do drugs and be in such a horrible life position, you're forced to live in a van down by the river. And now because of home prices and where the economy is, we live in a world now that if you were trying to film that, you'd have kids go, wait, what kind of van is it? Where'd you get it? Did you build it out yourself? What's this river view? You have your own river? You don't even have to share this river and you get to bathe in it. You don't have to pay electricity costs. All right. Next up, we have, this was from Bill Maher. He had on Quentin Tarantino, and they were talking about how Kamala Harris is dodging being on the news. And firstly, Bill Maher on this one, good instincts. Hey, this lady should have to talk to the news and she should have to field some questions. Now, Quentin Tarantino, isn't it a little bit surprising sometimes the Hollywood people who are completely not cool and totally pledging allegiance to the left? Like, I don't know what happens in Hollywood with the production class of actually getting movies made, but you would just think, if you remember the incredible movies that Quentin Tarantino has made, including Pulp Fiction and that scene that's got more N-word bombs than anywhere, like, you would just think a guy like that, how are you aligned with the censorship of the left? And they're, hey, we got to be nice to everybody. We have to empower women. We got to make sure everything's all fair all the time. You would just think a guy who makes extremely violent, great movies, but extremely violent movies with incredibly crass language would not identify as, oh, I love the left. I love the Democrats. This is my party. Isn't it sometimes weird the people that you think who are cool, who will just champion the left in the we just have to win mentality? And you're like, even like, what goes on in Hollywood? What is actually happening that they have dirt on all of you? How are you, you're pledging allegiance to this as well? I mean, it changes nothing about that. He's one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. His next movie comes out. I'm going to go see that. Talking about that, The Critic, I don't know if it's going to get made, but his last and final film, of course I'm going to go see that. But it's odd that even you are this indoctrinated that you're like, hey, we just have to win, and full support for Kamala Harris just because Donald Trump evil. It's surprising that it's that rampant that even he falls into this category. So let me play this clip, and then I'll give a bit of a breakdown. I think I'm going to go full screen and play it in full. You guys can tell me if we have sound, which I think we will.
Bigger issue is the left and their ability or their desire to engage with anyone who's not already in the bubble. And they get a big fat D- on that.
I couldn't agree more.
Right. I mean, you see Kamala. I mean, I'm glad she's doing well. I'm glad we have a real fight now for president. But doesn't talk to the press, would never go near me. And when you won't go near the people who are going to vote for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for you. Do I have to love everything? No, I don't. It just shows they're afraid. And you're right. I see it so much.
Well, hold on. I don't. Okay, you know what? I don't see her. Well, there's no reason for her to go on your show before the election, but I can actually see her.
Yes, there is. Because I speak to the exact voter she needs, the person who is in the middle, the person who is not ideologically captured by either side. Now, there are some who are that, and everyone is welcome.
By the way, I love that he just declares himself as, I represent the middle. I'm the guy in the middle with the most reasonable perspective.
I need a bigger audience all the time. I'm greedy that way. But basically, that's exactly the audience she needs. The MSNBC crowd is already voting for her. People who watch me, who will decide, this election will probably be decided in like 4 states by something like 80,000 votes in each. That's how these elections, how close they are these days. And that's where we're back to. We're at least back to normal which sucked, but it is normal that it's 50-50 going into the election. With Biden, it wouldn't have been.
Let me ask you about this, though. Okay, look, there's nothing you said that isn't right. All right. And there's definitely nothing you said that isn't right in a normal election cycle. I mean, it's irrefutably right in a normal election cycle where you have a year to set your case. I think there's just all about winning the fucking election, all right? And then the easiest path to winning the election, look, you can talk about maybe she should have had more guts about this or that and the other, but we're the fucking president.
Right.
And Trump's not the president, and we're the fucking president, and now it's going to be about this. But this is about fucking winning. What most people don't give the Democrats enough credit for, all right, but we give the Republicans credit for. It's like, no, sometimes it's just about fucking winning. And it doesn't matter how we look at this moment. It's about fucking winning.
Right.
This is about fucking winning.
Yep. No, it is. Bigger issue is the left and their ability.
Sorry, guys. All right, so I got two takeaways from that. First is, it's what I've been saying for a while, is that the left, they don't care about higher values. Sometimes they just care about winning. That's why if you've got 5 court cases against Donald Trump, none of which make sense, they don't care. They don't care about weaponizing the Justice Department. They don't care if is there a higher value of that we shouldn't have censorship on the internet, that you shouldn't have companies listening and colluding with the FBI to take down laptop stories. They don't care. They don't care about higher values, and they'll tell you that. We just care about winning. So one is he's saying that openly, which I've already said and demonstrated about the left, is that they just go, let's just win. If we have to cheat, if we have to compromise on what should be the higher values, it doesn't matter. Donald Trump's so bad. We just have to get rid of the Donald Trump virus. The other thing that's interesting is this is one of the most brilliant filmmakers of all time. And you know what he's telling you? You can't put that crazy bitch in front of a camera. Listen, I know television. I know what sells and I know what works in front of a camera, and I wouldn't put that lady unscripted in front of a camera. I mean, sure, if you can keep her in the contained environments with a very good script, fine. But let me tell you, I know who can improv and who can't. And as a brilliant filmmaker, if you want to lose, you would put her in front of a camera. I find both of those things to be interesting admissions. All right, before we change topics, let's take a second to thank our other sponsor, longtime sponsor of the show, Sheath.com. Guys, it's the 10-year anniversary of Sheath. I got some sheaths on right now. What do we got? Ooh, I got some oranges. Look at that. Matches the Run Your Mouth background. If you have not already tried out Sheath underwear, this is your opportunity. They've got their 10-year anniversary sale coming up. Go over to sheath.com. And I don't know, you don't have to use the promo code. I think they got a better sale going on over there. You can always use my promo code RYM for 20% off the greatest underwear that's ever graced the balls of man. But if you've been a longtime fan or you've never tried the product, this is their 10-year anniversary sale. It's coming up. Get it over to the website. Don't miss it. And then just hit up Bobby the Bank on Twitter. Hit them up, send them an email, put it into the customer service thing and go, you've been a longtime fan of the Run Your Mouth podcast. You've been wearing Sheath forever. You decided to stock up, or you finally decided to try it in celebration of the 10-year anniversary. Bobby the Bank's been a long-term sponsor of this show. I think he's been here maybe even 3 years now. There aren't too many, companies that are just like, will get behind the wild content like this. Bobby the Bank heard me a while ago on Part of the Problem, said, hey, kid, I like what you're doing. Sheath wants to back it, and their product's incredible. I wear their underwear every day. I wouldn't want a porch tour without it. When it's hot and sweaty out there, the last thing you want to be is in your loose-fitting underwear, just all filled up. I don't have air conditioning on in this room right now. You know what it'd be like if I was trying? It'd be wedgie city and nothing but ball sweat. And so I'm telling you, you can live a better life, and it's by upgrading to Sheath. Just go to sheath.com and celebrate the 10-year anniversary sale. All right. There was a video making the rounds of a lady who attended a city council meeting. And, I've seen, what's his name? It's amazing how bad I am with names sometimes. And the way that I criticize Kamala Harris and Joe Biden for coming off like idiots, when even the simplest of names I can't remember. The guy, he's got the show on whatever. Alex Stein. He's done the absolutely hilarious bits, really ballsy bits where he shows up to the city council meetings in character and complains. If you haven't watched them on Twitter every single one of them is absolutely glorious. And here you've got a lady showing up trying to issue some complaints, and you've got a mayor who's such a mayor. I mean, it's such a Nurse Ratched character of I'm just here to help you and it's your best interest. And it's, hey, when you came into this meeting, you signed a document that said that you wouldn't criticize us. And you're like, well, then where and how can I criticize you? And why, if you're in the government, are you forcing me to sign a document that says I'm not allowed to have free speech? And so we'll watch this. You guys can see it play out. But what's nice about there's two things about this incident. One is my guess is that this mayor, when these type of incidents end up on camera, they don't play well to the general public. And sometimes it's like the George Floyd incident. There was actually a camera. That cop clearly abused his authority and killed a person. And so when you're in those situations and these things are on camera, usually there's retribution. The problem is, like in the George Floyd case, the guy had to die. Or in this case, you had to actually go through the process of being arrested, which, remember, I was talking about AI Jew lawyer robots beforehand. I feel like it's easy to be on the sidelines and say what other people should do. And Charles Murray had a book about this with the Madison Fund, but it does make you think about what we could do is if collectively we put more money into just lawyers to go after the United States government for when they violate people's civil liberties. And maybe you partner with the people whose cases you bring and you keep all the money in the nonprofits that you can go ahead and execute on more of these cases. And maybe you could do the journalism of bringing them online, because the problem is, like, even all the people like who were forced to basically comply at their jobs. What would have happened if we financially backed more of them to say, no, you can fire me? And then we actually went through the entire process of, no, you actually did force the guy not to work here anymore. And then you brought all those cases. There's a lot of just intimidation, and they've got the upper hand with all of the legal framework and the government taxpayer dollars that they have to fight us. But what if we actually collectively put more money into, let's get out there and fight them, and let's take these moments and let's get arrested. Let's have, I guess maybe the word is civil. I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about forcing them to play their hand and arresting you or forcing you out of your job, forcing them to actually take a position of using force against you that you could then go and try and prosecute them for later. So with that, let's play the clip. And then I think it's also relevant to Mark Zuckerberg turning around and apologizing.
Are numerous public records requests that I have open right now that are, quote, pending legal review that I am entitled to request.
I've got to interrupt you here because...
Okay, are you going to stop the timer?
This is the public meeting forum that you...
By the way, Robert Holson, fake news, Robbie. Chauvin was going by his job, by the book. I get what you're saying. I mean, the guy died and the cop probably, he overplayed his hand. With that said, I get your point. There was kind of a side point to what I was trying to say.
You agree to when you speak, and I want to read this to you, that there are oral communications during the city council meeting may not be used to lodge charges or complaints against any employee of the city or members of the body, regardless of whether such person is identified in the presentation by the name or by any other reference that tends to identify him or her.
That's all fine.
Hey, I got a policy here that I wrote that says that you're not allowed to criticize me for the money that I pay myself. That's a fun one. It's also fun when you don't just sit there and go, hey, listen, shut up because I'm running this meeting and I'm telling you to shut up. But instead, hey, look, I have a piece of paper here that very conveniently says the exact thing that I would like to enforce that I wrote earlier. Hey, look, we've got a policy here that says that you're not allowed to have an opinion and you just have to shut up and take it. So this is your opportunity to shut up. It's not me. It's just the policy that I wrote that I happen to have in my hand that I'm going to read to you. I wish that I could listen to you express your opinion. And yes, this is the forum that we have for citizens to come in here and express their opinion. But sadly, I'm just forced to go by this policy that I wrote down that happens to be in my hands and tell you that you have to sit down and take it.
Fine, well and good, but that's a violation of my First Amendment rights.
So this is your warning, okay?
Warning for what?
A warning for attacking the city attorney personally.
This is all factual information.
It doesn't matter.
You're violating my First Amendment rights.
This is what you agreed to when you first speaking. This is the form.
It is unconstitutional, Mayor Hall.
Well, It's not unconstitutional.
It is.
And if you're
The Supreme Court has upheld. I could get up here and I could swear at you for 3 straight minutes, and it is protected speech by the Supreme Court. It is.
No, you can't.
Why don't you look at case law?
No, you can't.
I can.
So if you want to be
Also, the chair is engaged in the debate, so
do you
point
want
of
to be
order.
escorted out of here?
I don't actually know what case law is in this case, but I'm taking side lady on this one.
Do you want to be escorted out
You're
of here?
violating my First Amendment rights.
Talking.
You are violating my First Amendment rights.
That's your opinion.
It's not a
Okay.
matter of opinion.
Do you want to be escorted out, Ms. Massey? Because that's what's going to happen. And it's going to happen in the future also. Anytime you attack
That's
any
why you changed the
staff member
rules.
or any
That's why you
city-
changed the rules.
This has been on the back of this form.
I understand,
all the
Mayor
time.
Hall, but that is completely unconstitutional.
No, it's
You're
not.
also engaging in debate, and so you should actually be
Anyway,
yielding the floor to somebody else
okay.
managing.
Chief, could you have somebody come down here and escort Ms. Massey out of
Really, is
this
that
chamber?
necessary?
Yes, I
In
think
front
it
of my
is.
10-year-old daughter, you're going to escort me
That's
out
fine.
for expressing my
She
First
can go
Amendment
with you.
rights.
She can go with you.
I'm not leaving.
Well,
I'm expressing my first. Do not touch me. Do not put your hands on me.
Well, I mean, sickening to your stomach until this moment. At this moment, you kind of, the cop walks over, you kind of probably just have to go. But, you know, I mean, she's right to have played her hands. And I think maybe Run Your Mouth Army will get strong enough at one point. We can start a legal fund and start going after stuff like this, because I think forcing the government to take these actions against you and then having it on camera and showcasing how evil they are. And like, well, then what is the mechanism by which I can criticize you? Where's that meeting? Is there a different meeting where you guys address complaints from the public?
Do not put your hands on me.
Come on out. What is this? Was this supposed to be an open forum where everyone just shows up and goes, Mr. Mayor, I think you're doing a great job. Can you help me with this contract? Hey, Mr. Mayor, I want to, you're doing this great job, but I'm also want to make sure that you're going to, keep my garbage company in business. All right. Next slide. Here, we'll take a couple comments. Piggies go oink, oink, oink. I agree. Luke Sachs, Monty Python argument sketch. That's not bad. Senior Rex extraordinaire. You can be legally right, but the guy with the gun is always right. Accurate. Luke Sacker, power comes from the end of a gun. You see, these people understand. Keegan Sorrell, I'm catching RYM live. This is hype. Take that, not live viewers. And then Luke Sacker coming in and saying, that's Mao. All right. With that said, this to me is exactly the Zuckerberg thing. We already talked about this on part of the problem. And I said, everybody's sorry when they get caught. And so don't buy this as he turns around and goes, look, I'm so much cooler now. I love memes, bro. I love memes as much as the next guy. I started doing the jujitsu thing, and I've been watching Joe Rogan, and I'm taking the muscle juice. I'm getting on the things that all the other billionaires are on to fill out a little bit. I'm done talking about smoked meats, and I'm a real live human being just like the rest of you. And don't buy it. He got caught. That's what happened. The Republicans have actually been working on this long enough to go, hey, we're pretty sure that you guys have been engaging in extreme censorship, and it was to help out the Democrats. And so now, because he's got caught, he's got to go, hey, guys, I'm really sorry, and it was because they pressured me, and it won't happen again. And then his other line of, oh, yeah, when I was funding the election thing, you know what happened? The Democrats called him up and said, hey, listen, it's mafia shit. We're going to need you to take a couple things down. Hey, remember how you took a couple things down for us? Well, you weren't allowed to do that. So now you're going to have to help us win. And so I need you to make the following donations, because it's going to expand the ability for us to rig the election, because there will be more ballot access. But it's ballot access for everybody, so you can pretend like you were just trying to help out with the safety. Everyone's not safe because there's a virus out there. And so you were doing things that were for everybody so that everybody could vote more, even though there was one particular side that wanted a lot more mail-in voting. And so he turns around. He's got to email Jim Jordan. Hey, you can stop. We'll let you guys know what happened over here, and we apologize, and we're not going to do it anymore. And, we understand that we're not supposed to be censoring Americans or being threatened by social media companies. Everyone's sorry when they got caught. It's easy to be sorry when you did it. When you did it, that you did it. You made the decision to do it. You could have fought for the side of freedom, but you didn't make those decisions. Instead, you prioritized government authoritarianism. You could have stood up. You could have said, nope, my entire platform is about people coming here, and it preserves my platform, that it's inclusive for everybody, and that there's freedom of speech, and that people can come here and get information. That's why people like the thing. You guys are eroding the core, or I don't know what the core values of Facebook is. I haven't been a Facebook user in a long time, but now all of a sudden he wants to, but at least we got the admission that they were threatened by government, and because of the threats that they got by government, they did in fact engage in censorship. But now we need the investigation. It's kind of like Chris Cuomo. You can't just go away and go, hey guys, I'm sorry I did that, and then keep it like, you got to rat. If you're going to come forward and try and win us over, actually do the honorable thing and rat. Sometimes ratting is honorable. I mean, if you're doing it on your friends, it's not honorable. Then, or, if you're turning on your pals, and I guess in this case, it's pals of the government, but I'm just saying you can actually make it right. If you're saying that there's a problem of government stepping in and forcing companies to engage in compliance, and that in order to keep your little share of the pie, you sided with government and you engaged in censorship and stamped on people's ability to engage in freedom of speech, well, now you got to tell us why you complied, who forced you to comply, what were the mechanisms, and you gotta make some changes here. You don't just get to go, hey, sorry, can I still keep all my money? I know I shouldn't have done that, but I'm a weak man. And then you just keep doing it. All right. What do we got next? Wow, we're at the halfway mark of the show. 46 minutes and more show coming at you. This was from Mish Talk. I read that nearly every day. I don't absorb it all. It's a lot of it's too smart and over my head. But amidst Kamala Harris, making all the claims the Biden administration had nothing to do with the inflation, Mish points out that Donald Trump's got a winning hand of talking about energy prices, all the money that they've put into the Green Energy Initiative, how it's pushed up energy prices, and how that's directly responsible for your food price increases. Or if you're one of these poor fat slobs who like showing up and just getting yourself some fast food, well, in some of these states that keep mandating higher prices for their workers, what's that doing to these companies in terms of being able to maintain the food costs? How many different ways has government stepped into the free market and made it more expensive for all of us to get food while they pretend like the grocery store is engaging in price gouging? Next topic is Telegram ignored outreach from child safety watchdogs before CEO arrest group says. And this is guys, it's amazing how the government's so interested in child pornography when it's not Epstein's Island or their behavior. If it's their behavior, hey, you better go get that safe back, lock it up in the FBI, say that we lost it. You better not give out this client list. Don't look at who else was hanging out on this thing. Bill Clinton can still get up at the DNC. They don't want you looking at what people are talking about pizzas online. That building doesn't even have a basement because the lizard people tunneled in and refilled it. We all know that that's what happened at that pizzeria. But anyways, you got Telegram, which, this is so, to me, it seems quintessential to freedom. It's the old phone line thing. If the phone lines create, is government responsible for terrorism if a terrorist drove on a road to go get there? If a terrorist takes the George Washington Bridge and then goes through John F. Kennedy Airport and then takes a plane and flies it into a building, is the government responsible? Do they have an obligation to make sure that the roads are not being used by terrorists or every single time a child molester goes out and molests a child and it drives on a government road, shouldn't the government be responsible for the activity of that child molester? I mean, they were using the government's product, which is the road. If they were on the road and they had no other way that they could have gotten to this person, or maybe they took a government bus, did they take a train? Did they take the subway? I mean, if a terrorist or child molester or drug dealer is using government infrastructure to go engage in a crime, I would think we have to put the government in jail. How can you let these individuals just use government roads to go and take part in a crime? And that's basically the argument of why phone lines weren't responsible for what happened on phone lines, because they're creating phone lines. And you can call up your grandma, you can call up a charity, you can call up a company and have an AI robot answer and not help you out in any capacity. You can do all sorts of things on the phone, and the phone company's not responsible for what you do on the phone. They created the phone line, and you can use it for phone calls in whatever capacity you'd like to make phone calls with. The internet should basically work in the exact same way. I create an infrastructure by which you can send messages. How or who you send messages to is not my responsibility. And now it seems like France, they don't like the freedom that we have on the internet. I'm not a user of Telegram, but it seems like they don't like the Telegram. They don't like the fact that there's a branch of the internet where you might be able to get information that they don't want you to see or communicate in an encrypted fashion. And so they turn around and they go, hey, you're not doing your part to get rid of the things that exist in every other aspect of, like, listen, this, no, we'd all like to get rid of terrorists. We'd all like to get rid of violent crimes. We'd all like to get rid of the people who engage in child pornography, sex trafficking, or otherwise. It exists, though. And if you're going to create any open platform, you can do your part to try and remove these things. But I don't think having the platform makes you responsible that, like, because otherwise, how do you ever have a platform? How do you ever build anything? I built a mall. Oh, you know, this guy who came into the sex store at the mall ended up using those whips and chains on a kid. So I got to vet every single person that comes in here. I think the Supreme Court has said similar things with like guns as well. Like the gun itself, it's neutral. It's like a car. You can get in your car and you can go drive it into a group of people. Does the dealership have a responsibility? I mean, maybe if you come in and you're like, hey, I'm looking for the car that would be best to run over kids with, then they probably shouldn't sell you the car. And I would agree that they shouldn't do that. Anyways, I think I talked myself out of my own opinion at the end there. You guys get my point. Section 230, Telegram ... common carrier, section 230. Unfortunately, they already have access to the phone lines. They just are strong arming access to the tech. Well, I think they want full censorship of the internet. I think Europe is even worse than America in this regard. And so they had an opportunity to take the Telegram guy, shove him in jail. I don't think he's been charged yet. And I think the charge that they'll try and lobby at him is that the illegal activity that's been taking place on the platform, and you guys aren't doing enough. It's like they're not sanctioning the illegal activity. They're not engaged in the activity. They don't particularly profit off the illegal activity. They're not endorsing the illegal activity. If you have big open platforms, illegal activity will take place. They're the same as illegal activity will take place anywhere. There's illegal activity in the United States of America on government roads. And then this is just kind of interesting because I think his home base is in the United Arab Emirates. So they're stepping in to be like, yo, you got to let that guy out of jail. All right. Tehran sends mixed signals on retaliation against Israel. Are we having a war or not? And then this was the other article. Israel, Hezbollah, Tel Aviv, lob bombs at each other and avoid broader conflict because for now they're trying to have a casual war. You know, they're testing the waters. They're going out on a date, seeing if maybe they want a more widespread war. But at the moment, they're keeping it a little bit more casual. Dave had a similar joke when the U.S. pulled out of Ukraine to be like, we're seeing other wars.
And we want you out.
All right. I'm tiring myself out here. 52 minutes, 59 seconds into the show. This was Donald Trump was on Dr. Phil's show. I did not watch the full interview. I watched the entire interview on Donald Trump on with Theo Vaughn. It was a great interview. I feel like I'm a little bit watching Donald Trump on interviews out. I'd really like to watch RFK on Tucker. I haven't had a chance to watch that yet. I will. But this I thought was funny because it seems like Donald Trump, I can just see it. He's like such an old school New Yorker power broker guy that it just seems like he's got like some gossip line. And that's basically how he gets all of his information. It's either he's watching it on Fox News or people call his gossip line with some good juicy scoops. And off of that gossip line of good juicy scoops, he's able to keep himself in the know on all of world events. All right, let's give this a listen.
Nancy Pelosi went. I know the whole thing because I know people on the other side. You know, I have some very good friends on the other side. Hard to believe, isn't it? And they went to him and they said, we want you out, and we can do it the nice way or the hard way. And we can use the 25th Amendment. We can use the 24th Amendment. We can use all sorts of amendments and get you the hell out. It was nasty. It was very nasty. And he was very angry. But ultimately, he said he's going to have to leave. And then they gave him his nicer way out, but he was very angry about it.
The DT gossip line. That's where the real information is. All right, got a couple more topics here. Trump faces new indictment in Capitol riot case. My guess is that this is going to just disappear. I can't imagine. Basically, all right, here's what the new indictment is down from 36 pages from 45. It's just, this is what I was talking about of the prosecutors having the upper hand. They bring the first court case, goes all the way up to the Supreme Court. They go, hey, you can't bring it like this. And so they go, all right, we'll take out 4 pages. All right, you still can't bring it. We'll take out 5 pages. Oh, that one doesn't work. All right, here's another couple more pages that we'll take out. We'll just keep tying you up in court endlessly. My guess is that this is just going to go away, but Jack Smith won't give up because he's got a paycheck and not giving up. I mean, if people are going to pay you to have no results and just go badger people, why not? If you're going to continue to pay me to spend 3 months cutting 5 pages out of my document and then coming back and going, hey, I think this will stick now. Ah, rats, it didn't stick. I'll cut out another page. Can we try it this way? Ah, that didn't stick again. My guess is they're just going to keep running with it. I'm just going to guess that that's going to fall apart. All right. What else?
If I'm given the chance to fix the chronic,
we'll get to RFK on the next one. That's kind of funny. The system that we have, that now RFK wants off the ballots and he can't get himself off. And then, of course, the Democrats, the best that they can come up with, this is from the New York Times, how Democrats view Kennedy and Trump, a weirdo campaign just got weirdo. That's all I got. Call him weird. All right. I'm a little tired out, but I want to address this just to close out the show. I hope you guys liked my last episode on the Talmud. I don't think I'm going to be doing that one again. I don't think I have any interest in re-exploring that topic, but I did absorb some of the comments that came over my way. And once I was delving into it, I kind of knew that I was over my head. Firstly, I don't have all the books to reference, and the stuff can take hours to figure out. And I think the whole thing is exploring. I think it's a loss because you're kind of just exploring the negative, because the final law has no negative opinions against non-Jews. It's not reflective of those quotes that are taken out of context. And then here were a couple of my takeaways. One is any explanation that you give, people are like, oh, look, you're just Jewing your way out of this. You're just offering explanations. Look, it's the Jew weasel tricks. And then this one was particularly funny, that people took away from what I was saying. Oh, look, it's just large documents to figure out how to not have to keep any of the actual laws. And guys, I can tell you from having lived it, I don't think there's any lifestyle more restrictive than being an Orthodox Jew. The idea that these people are sitting down all day studying Jewish law in order to not keep it while structuring their entire lives around keeping it makes zero sense. You're talking about people that wake up and go wash their hands in a specific way, put on their shoes in a specific way, then go pray in the morning, pray 2 more times during that day. Got to go to a place to do it with 10 other people. Every Saturday, Friday, you're not working and you're keeping the Sabbath. You're eating specific food that's more expensive. You got to take most of your vacation days to celebrate Jewish holidays. You're supposed to study the Torah on a daily basis. Like, other than like being a monk, I don't think you guys realize how even just like the kosher food laws are a complete and total pain in the ass. You wouldn't realize. Go spend a week trying to keep kosher. And I know you can walk into any grocery store, or if you're in some major cities, but like it hits you and all of a sudden you realize, oh, I can't just walk into a store. I can't just eat a slice of pizza. I can't just eat a hamburger. I can't just eat this. I got to find the one restaurant in town that actually has kosher food and spend more money on it. Or I got to cook everything. I know a lot of you guys don't eat out. You cook everything at home, but what you're not thinking about is how easy it is when you've never walked around a store and checked the back label to see that a thing had a kosher signal. I'm just saying the idea that people are just studying the 4,000 of those pages and living a restrictive lifestyle to just get out of living the restrictive lifestyle is just not true. And that's like a lot of people just did not listen to anything. What I was trying to say is, guys, this thing is not a very interesting book. It's incredibly complicated and has a whole bunch of laws, and cherry picking a couple lines that are within a broader analysis is just it's unfair, and you should have some modesty of the fact that maybe you don't actually understand what's totally not. It's like if I sat in on 3 minutes of a chemistry lecture and walked out saying I wouldn't know anything. I don't have a background in chemistry. I know nothing about chemistry. People spend their entire lives studying this stuff. The idea that you looked at 3 lines and zero modesty from people whatsoever of, oh, I might not understand this, and then just still walking away. Anything you say, oh, you're just trying to reason for this. Look, the Jew reasoning, or, oh, this is just some big thing about not that doesn't make any sense. Why would people be living this incredibly restrictive lifestyles where every single day they're doing things that they were specifically commanded to do, and yet you think the entire study is getting out of those things? Then why would they do all the things that they're doing? All right. There was just one other thing, because I think people just were not following some of what I was trying to say, is that some of the conversations, it's like theoretical modeling. And I'm sure that exists in other fields where you go, all right, let's say, like, I don't know, here might be the most simple example. Let's say I said, for the sake of this conversation, 2 equals 5. I don't know why I decided to do that, but the first line I just say, for the rest of my mathematical model here, 2 equals 5. And then I got a later line that says 2 plus 2 equals 10. And then you freak out and you go, holy shit, look at how dumb these people are. They think 2 plus 2 equals 10. Well, you would need the earlier line that I said, hey, I'm actually doing a theoretical model here where I'm saying that 2 equals 5. And so sometimes they're like, we're going to hold this thing constant and analyze something else. We're going to study in a vacuum the financial law and run through all the ramifications of how you could possibly get somewhere. And so you guys just take the one line out of context without where it was going, what the final conclusion was, or the context of the conversation, and go, hey, look, you're in a theoretical model. So anyways, I have no interest in discussing this topic anymore. I don't think I'm the best suited for it. I have ADD. It was fun for 4 days. It was fun to see that someone posted something and go, hey, I think I could take this on, start thinking about it, and then coming up with some jokes like, oh, this is kind of funny. Oh, this is kind of funny. And then having a secondary thought of like, I don't think I'm helping with all these jokes, but it's like, yeah, I decided I was going to do this, and these are some good jokes. And then getting to the actual, hey, I just want to show you guys how complex this is, so you just have some humility that maybe you don't understand it. And then the feedback being like, oh, look, this whole thing is just trying to get out of having to keep any of God's word. Like, that just doesn't make sense. And then the inability to even like consider that they're having a more nuanced conversation or working within their own model and just go, well, that the word's right there. It said it. So anyways, that were the final thoughts. I don't think I'm going to bring up that topic again. If you guys want to shoot me an email, robsnewsroom@gmail.com. I have had people respectfully ask me some questions that I've answered. Except I'm not going to spend all day. I'm done with that. I live that life. Now I like talking about news and that stuff. If I had unlimited money, I would open up free, high quality, state of the art pediatric hospital called the Jeffrey Epstein Hospital for Peace and Understanding. That's a fun one. Old Chinese proverb, 2 wrongs don't make a right. There you go. All right, guys, that is our show. Thank you for everyone for hanging out. I'll take one more comment. Sarah Rich coming through. Nice POTP hat. I wonder if these are still available. I don't even know how I ended up with one, but it is a nice hat. I like this hat. Sarah's an OG Dallas person, came out for that show that 10 people came out to when I did Hyenas the first time, but then me and Dave Smith did Hyenas. A couple hundred people came out for all the shows. So this weekend out in Dallas, show up if you're out in Dallas. And that's it. That's our show. Thanks for hanging out. I got the fancy tunes to close the show, which I think I probably have to come back and lower the volume on this. So guys, I got some sweet ass banjo tunes coming at you. That's our show. Catch you later. Have a good one.
There's so many problems that we all have to solve them. Everybody come together and find a way. We could blame the president and the corrupt government. We could blame a myriad of unpleasant things. But we're all the problem and we're all the solution. Everybody has a gift and part to play. 'Cause there's so many problems that we all have to solve them. Everybody come together and find a way. Cause this life is a blessing.